This meeting of Cabinet, which is being convened as a hybrid meeting. The meeting is being recorded and will be available via the Council's website to be viewed as soon as possible following the meeting. Meeting agenda pack can also be viewed on the Council website. Everyone participating in the meeting will be attending either in the Council chamber or from remote locations. Please could everybody ensure that mobile phones are switched off or to silent mode. Members and officers will be speaking at various points during the meeting, and those speaking may switch the microphones on at that point. All other times should keep the microphones off. Please could those members attending remotely keep their cameras on for the duration of the meeting. If any members or officers wish to raise a point or question, should press the hands up icon top right hand side of the Microsoft Teams window, and will come to you in the order of received requests. Please lower your hand once you have finished speaking. Please do not use a microphone until I invite you to do so. I would also ask the officers to introduce themselves as and when I invite them to speak during the course of the meeting. Officers from Democratic Services will be supporting the meeting. In the event of any vote, Democratic Services officer will call out the names of the members in question in order that they may cast their vote either for, against or abstain. So I'll now proceed to the agenda business for this extraordinary Cabinet meeting, Tuesday, 10th of September. The first item, apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies? Just for information, Councillor Caparros is now here today. The shared Cabinet role, Councillor Ellie Evans is will be acting in that capacity. And Mark Shepherd, Chief Executive, apologies. Everybody else in attendance. Just checking, Deputy Leader is online as well, yeah. Okay, so that's item 1. Item 2, and declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest, please?
Thank you, Leader. Declare interest on this the next agenda item, and I will be leaving the chambers.
Prejudicial interest?
Yes.
Thank you for that. Any further? I see anybody else online? No further. Councillor Howell?
Not sure, do I need to make a personal interest? I have grandchildren in receipt of homeschool transport currently. Personal interest. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay, no further. So we move then to item 3, revised home to school transport policy on pages 3 to 48. I think I'll hand over to Councillor Farsman leave first, and then hand over to Lindsay to take us through the report. Over to you, Lindsay.
Thank you, Leader. For the purpose of the recording, I'm Lindsay Harvey. I'm the Corporate Director of Education, Early Years and Young People. Leader, with your permission, I'd like to introduce Robin Davis, who is the Group Manager, Strategy, Performance and Support, who is the Local Authority Strategic Lead for Home to School Transport. He's attending this meeting online and would be happy to address any technical questions should they arise. Leader, the purpose of this report is to seek Cabinet approval for the new Home to School Transport policy. You'll recall in July this year, Cabinet considered the outcome of a public consultation on proposed changes to the local authority's current home to school college transport policy. The following 5 proposals were presented to Cabinet. Proposal 1, the withdrawal of transport for all learners benefiting from an identified and available walking route to school in line with statutory distances of 2 miles for primary school pupils and 3 miles for secondary school pupils. Proposal 2, the removal of the sibling and in-receipt protection for pupils. Proposal 3, removal of all transport for nursery pupils excluding Welsh medium and faith-based education. Proposal 4, the removal of all post-16 transport excluding Welsh medium and faith-based education. Proposal 5, the offer to parents, carers of pupils with additional learning needs, the option of a personal transport budget. Following consideration of the outcome of the public consultation, Cabinet approved proposals 1 to 4 only. To ensure that the local authority meets its responsibility under the Learner Travel Information Regulations 2009, the local authority must publish its learner travel policy and arrangements by the 1st of October in the year preceding the school year in which the changes will come into force. Therefore, if the new policy is approved and published prior to the 1st of October 2024, the policy will come into force at the start of the 2025-2026 school year, that is in September 2025. As a result of the Cabinet decision to accept policy proposals 1 to 4 outlined in paragraph 2.1 of the report, the current home to school college transport policy requires significant amendments. Therefore, a new revised home to school transport policy has been drafted. The revised policy is available at Appendix 1. As part of the publication strategy for the new policy, the local authority will advise schools and parents carers in writing of the impact of the new policy in advance of the September 2025 implementation, including any direct impact on their children's eligibility for homeschool transport. As reported to Cabinet in July this year, the pressure on the homeschool school college transport budget is significant. The decision by Cabinet to accept proposals 1 to 4, as identified in the report, means that it is estimated that over £1 million of recurring budget reductions can be made from the current homeschool transport budget in 26-27, with a partial saving achieved in 2025-2026. Cabinet members will be aware the Council's medium-term financial strategy 2024-25 to 27-28 includes an indicative budget reduction of proposal in respect of home to school transport. Through the adoption of the revised home to school transport policy, this budget reduction proposal should now be achieved. Therefore, Leader, I take you to the recommendations of paragraph 9 of this report and ask the Cabinet approves the revised home to school transport policy available at Appendix 1 of this report for implementation from September 2025.
Thank you, Lindsay. Could I just take ourselves to the recommendation first, and then we'll take question. Councillor Jones.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. Can I first and foremost thank the Director and move the report, please?
You have a seconder?
I'll second the report, Leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. And Councillor Evans, you also had your hand up. Did you have a question? Just be moved and seconded, then we'll go to questions.
Yes, thank you, Leader. Firstly, thank you, Lindsay, for the report. I just got a few points I just need clarified. It's on the proposals of 3 and 4, the removal of transport for nursery and post-16 transport, excluding Welsh and faith-based education. Can you just clarify for me, please, why are these exemptions placed on a non-statutory service? And are we not disadvantaging others? And how would that sit in the Equalities Act 2010, please?
Thank you, Leader. Thank you, Councillor Evans, for your question. Cabinet members will be aware of this report that came to you in July. It was a comprehensive report, obviously, that outlined all of those queries. You're right, Councillor Evans, these are non-statutory provisions at nursery and post-16. What was outlined in the report that you agreed in July was the requirement by Welsh Government to support the Welsh language. It's a statutory duty placed on all local authorities to promote Welsh language education. So we believe that this measure will do that, and also to secure equality of provision for learners who wish to achieve a faith-based provision due to the geographical positioning of the schools. We believe this will provide that equality to them also.
Thank you, Lindsay. Councillor Evans, do you want to come back, Lenny?
Yeah, I fully appreciate that there's a statutory obligation to promote the Welsh language. However, obviously, the Welsh language standards promote and facilitate the Welsh language, which I quote, the Welsh language, and ensure that the Welsh language is not treated less favourably than the English language in Wales. But surely, the English language should not be treated less favourably than the Welsh language.
Thanks, Leader. Thanks, Councillor Evans. I can only reiterate the requirement on the local authority to promote the Welsh language. It is a statutory requirement, and this was acknowledged and agreed by Cabinet in July 2024.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you. Okay. Fully appreciate that. However, I do have another further question. In the Learner Travel Wales measure 2008, a review actually was conducted, and under the current provisions, local authorities do not have to provide free transport to learners outside of the compulsory school age. This includes learners over the age of 16 and children under the age of 5. And therefore, I believe that this consultation has not concluded yet, so there is no obligation for us to provide any transport, school transport, as I understand it, for learners outside of compulsory age. Is that correct?
Thanks, Leader. Thanks, Councillor Evans. Just 2 points there. First of all, the consultation has concluded. It concluded and was reported to Cabinet in July 2024. This is with regard to the local authority consultation. With regard to the statutory requirement, as previously stated, there is no requirement on a statutory basis to provide it for nursery or post-16.
Give that, Lindsay. Is that, Councillor Evans, you? Good.
I suppose my concerns still remain the fact that at the end of the day, where does this sit in the Equalities Act? Because there is in the assessment that was being provided, there is a potential that the proposals will impact on non-statutory school age more than those of statutory school age, in particular those in English medium schools. And obviously, education is for all. And actually, from my perspective, then actually, I am concerned of where this actually sits in the Equality Act 2010. And it does say, I believe, in the Learner Travels Wales review, sorry, let me just find the page. To promote, local authorities must promote the Welsh medium education and promote sustainable modes of transport. In reviewing the measure and suggesting changes, there is also a need to pay due regard to the Equality Act 2010. And that does say in the Learner Travel Wales measure in 2008 with a review in 2021.
Okay, and it is difficult balancing act we're trying to do here with all the different acts and what. But Lindsay, will you anything further?
Thanks, Leader. Thanks, Councillor Evans. I think it's important that I just refer you to the previous report that came to Cabinet in July 2024. A full equality impact assessment was undertaken as part of that report, and obviously Cabinet considered that as part of the decision making at that time.
Thank you there. I just needed clarification because unfortunately I wasn't present for that particular item in question. So I just needed clarification on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. I can see Rob, his hand was there, it's gone down. Oh, he's back. If Robbie wants to come in at any point with there first before I come back to Councillor Jones, Councillor Davis.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. I wasn't sure whether the question was concluded, but I put my hand up just in case you wanted any, Councillor Evans wanted any further clarification in respect of obviously what was considered by Cabinet in July. Obviously, the responsibilities of the local authority, as Lindsay said, to promote the Welsh language, and it's because with the full consideration under the equalities legislation, there was a full EIA undertaken. And whilst I understand Councillor Evans' concerns about the English language, the focus has to be on the statutory duty on the local authority to promote and grow the Welsh language. And in doing so, we identified that because obviously religion, faith is also a protected characteristic, it's a protected group, that we have to give due consideration to learners wishing for a faith-based education as well. And because of the very limited number of schools that we have, we would be limiting the ability of pupils wanting a faith-based education, wanting a Welsh medium education, if we didn't protect those two particular groups more than we would be protecting English medium, because in English medium schools there are far more of them, far wider spread across the county borough, and far more choice for learners, and school transport doesn't have such a significant impact on that choice where it does for Welsh and for faith. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Robin. Yeah. Councillor Evans, you...
Yeah, thank you, Robin. That does actually clarify. However, I'd like to think if parents want their child to go to a Welsh medium education, I would hope that they base their decisions on wanting their child to have a Welsh education and not choose them to go for school transport because they would have free school transport. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. We're going to Councillor Paul Davis.
Yes, thanks, Chair. Councillor Evans, on a very last sentence, has stolen a little bit of my thunder. I thank you for your report, Lindsay. The question I was going to ask, or your thoughts, is there not a risk that that people could opt now for a faith-based or Welsh medium education, because just for the reason just that Councillor Evans just pointed out, the fact that then they get transported, a danger of that, which could, has this been analysed at all? It could cost the county authority more because more people will take up those options, and that those journeys tend to be further afield. As Robin just said, that there are a lot less of those schools. Is there a danger it could end up costing us more in the long term?
Thanks, Leader. Thanks, Councillor Davies. First of all, I do need to reiterate something that I've mentioned a few times today, and Robin has said the same. We have a statutory duty to promote the Welsh language. That's a key element in any of our responses here, and obviously in Cabinet's decision making. With regard to the impact on the home to school transport budget, clearly one of the things we would seek to do is where there's existing provision in place for home to school transport, if there's additional demand, we would seek to capitalise on that existing transport, so that would hopefully mitigate any additional costs. With regard to obviously schools themselves, we're there to support them. We're there to support all education within Bridgend. It's a very good place at the moment, and we want to maintain that. But again, as Robin's quite clearly articulated, we have a requirement to support those learners who wish to attend those settings.
Thank you, Lindsay. Councillor Davies?
Yes, it was just a thoughts really on that. Which oversubscription could be a problem, but it's a good problem to have. Don't get me wrong, Lindsay, but it may be a consequence of something, and a law of unintended consequence, so to speak. Thank you.
Thanks, Leader. Thanks, Councillor Davies. It's a really good point, actually. Cabinet would be aware of the fact that as part of our school modernisation programme, we're seeking to grow the Welsh medium estate. We have a number of proposals in at the moment. Obviously, you're looking to build new settings and expand on existing settings. So we're confident we will meet the demand. But again, the long-term goal within the Welsh Education Strategy for the local authority is to grow Welsh medium places further in line with our statutory duty.
Thanks, Lindsay. Robin, do you want to come in there as well on any point?
Yeah, thanks very much, Leader. Yeah, in the report in July, when Cabinet made the decision to accept the 4 recommendations, the report did identify that one of the implications of supporting Welsh medium and faith-based education was the likely choice parents would make for a Welsh medium education for their child based on the availability of school transport. And we acknowledge actually that was a positive outcome, because we do want to, as Lindsay has said, we want to grow the Welsh language. We are creating additional capacity across our Welsh schools. We have a strong school modernisation programme, and one of our agenda is to increase the number of pupils who take up Welsh medium places. So as a school transport offer, it is complementary to that wider agenda of increasing the demand for Welsh medium places in our Welsh medium schools. Thanks.
Thank you, Robin. We're going out to Councillor Williams, and we come to Martin last time. Councillor Williams.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. And can I begin by thanking Lindsay and Robin for the work that they've done in producing this policy. I know home school transport has been on the agenda for quite some time. It has been under financial pressures for quite some time, and I know we've had to defend the generous nature of our home to school policy, in some quite heated debates, I suppose. So I just want to ask the Director, now we've got an updated policy, does this mean that we are totally in line with Welsh Government policy, and actually now our homeschool transport offer is sort of in line with the rest of Wales, and it's basically it's a basic standard homeschool transport? There is no uplift. We can't be called to have an over-generous or gold-plated policy any longer.
Thanks, Leader. Thanks, Councillor Williams. And again, it's a really important question, because Councillor Williams is right. Over the last 7 years, I think I've been in post, this has been a key item on the agenda. Absolutely, we are aligned very much to the Welsh Government expectations now with regard to home to school transport. Again, for the point of clarity with regard to Welsh medium and faith-based education, we have taken the decision following public consultation to protect these two groups. These two groups, for all the reasons that Robin has highlighted and in line with Welsh Government expectation, we would see as being important to protect. But again, certainly with regard to proposal 1 and 2, where there was variation at local level, if this policy is agreed, that would be far more in line now with Welsh Government thinking.
Okay, thank you, Lindsay, for that.
Yes, thank you, Leader. Can I also endorse for the report this afternoon? Perhaps it's for me now as a Cabinet member to just sum this up basically in terms of where we are, where we need to go. You will recall that we presented a pre-decision report to scrutiny in July, where scrutiny gave us some very good feedback in relation to the concerns that they had that this new policy would create. We also went to Cabinet on the 23rd of July, like the Director has just outlined, and of the 5 proposals, 4 were actually accepted by Cabinet. Now, during both of those committee meetings, I gave a commitment that I would look at the unintended consequences that this policy may or may not create. And that would be in relation to potential regular review and maintenance of our safer school routes, impact on young people not in education or training post-16, and the potential increase in individual vehicle traffic outside our schools. I can update you all and say this: I am having regular dialogue with the Director. We have identified a particular forum, an existing forum, that focuses on home to school transport, and we will be monitoring those unintended consequences during that forum process. And I'm more than happy in time to update scrutiny as and when it's appropriate to do so. But I just want to finish by saying this. This is a reluctant decision-making process on our part. It's purely being driven by budgetary constraints being placed on Bridgend County Borough Council. Our policy will be published out for publication on the 1st of October and will be enacted in September 2025. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. And as you just said there, this is not a decision we would choose to make many years ago. There's many services we're looking at which we're going to have many more difficult decisions in the same sort of arena as we go forward because of the budget situation. The Director did say, and it says in the report, this in a full year is looking to save over £1 million. There may be a slight change in that because if the unintended consequence of demand on transport increased, the savings may not quite achieve quite so much because there may be additional transport costs and that. But that's part of the unintended consequences. But then there's a positive to that as well. If it's increased people attending Welsh education and faith. But it is where we are. It's unfortunate. You know, it's where we are. It's where we have to go. We cannot provide gold-plated services or even enhanced services any longer. We have to provide the best we can at a basic level and work with that because that's where we are and where we're heading. So the report has been moved and seconded. Are we all in favour? Yeah. The report adopted, yep. Yeah. Okay. And Deputy Leader online, assuming you're okay. Right, okay, well that's been moved and seconded. And rightly or wrongly, it's a very short Cabinet meeting. The next item is item 4, urgent items, and I've not been notified of any urgent items. So it's 14:55. Thank you for your attendance, and we'll bring this meeting to a close. Thanks everybody online for joining.